I would like to introduce our next speaker, Micah Lakin Avni. He's the son of ریچارد Lakin, who was murdered by terrorists in Jerusalem in October 2015. Please give a warm welcome.
Thank you. I just came from speaking inside the Human Rights Council, so this is a much easier crowd. You know, and I didn't expect this, but there was just one thought that was going through my mind, and I can't get it out of my mind. I'm going to share it with you. All of you here and everybody back around me in Israel, at home, we survived Auschwitz as a people. And in there, they're building the ideological train tracks to put us back in. That's what's going on. And that's what's been going on for years and years and years. And I hadn't fully understood that until I actually sat inside and listened to the tens of speakers who spoke before me, and I understood it. And I think people sit at home and they don't fully understand that and internalize that. It's nothing less than building the ideological train tracks to put us back in the ovens. That's what they're doing. I want to tell you a short personal story. I know you've heard a lot of speeches. I don't want to take up too much time. My father was a kind, gentle person. He was an educator, an elementary school principal. He educated thousands of children. He was a human rights, civil rights activist, worked for coexistence. He marched with Martin Luther King Jr. in the United States. He led school integration in the state where I grew up. We moved to Israel in the 1980s. He became very active in coexistence movements. He and my mother set up a small school where Muslim, Christian, Jewish children learned English as a second language together, and they managed that school for many years. He wrote a book kind of summarizing his educational philosophy called Teaching is an Act of Love. So he was a good, kind person. He never hurt anybody in his life, and he just tried to get people to work together. In October of 2015, he was riding on bus number 78 in Armon HaNetziv in Jerusalem on his way back from a doctor's appointment. Two Palestinian terrorists got on the bus. They shot him in the head. They stabbed him in the face, in the head, in the chest, in the abdomen. They severed most of his vital organs. He was brought to Hadassah Hospital together with the terrorist who murdered him. He spent 2 weeks in the hospital. It was a horrific 2 weeks, unconscious the entire time before he died. I actually stood next to him and watched the terrorist regain consciousness. He was saved by the Israeli Magen David Adom and by Hadassah Hospital. And then similar to Kay's experience, there were Muslim and Christian and Jewish doctors and nurses involved in this whole experience, helping everybody. During that time, and this is what I want to get to, the Secretary General Ban Ki-moon came to visit us. And he came to Hadassah Hospital and he hugged us and he looked into my eyes standing next to my father. And after my father passed away, he sent a private condolence letter to my mother. But what he did not do, and what the Human Rights Council did not do, and what the UN did not do, is he did not condone that terrorist act. He didn't mention it publicly, ever. He didn't, later on, when Palestinian President Abbas met with the father of the man who, the animal, shall I say, who murdered my father, he called him a martyr who's going to go to heaven, and he praised his actions, sending a very clear message to the Palestinian people, and that's something that the UN was silent on. And I looked at the UN website here. They have a page. It's called UN Response to Terrorism, and they have a huge list of terror attacks all around the world, horrific things and condemnations. And there's not a single mention. Certainly, my father doesn't appear there, but there's not a single mention of Israel on that list of any of the Israelis who've been murdered over the past months. And so I came here today to the UN, to the Human Rights Council, to challenge the Secretary General and to ask a simple question. After I've told you about my father's background, can you just say the simple words that that action was wrong, that it was morally wrong, that it was illegal, and that you condone that specific action? Because if the person who stands at the head of this organization can't say those simple words, if he can't say those words in this specific case, then he can't preach peace, he can't lead any kind of change in the world, and he needs to resign. So I posed that challenge to him, and I'm waiting for an answer. Thank you. Well, he's actually not there. It's the formal method. He's waking up in New York now, so we'll see. We'll give him a few hours. He'll read the op-ed and Fox and with the same things, and hopefully we'll hear a response, and hopefully the press will hear. We'll follow up on that. And so I just want to end with what I began with is I having not many things in life until you experience them you don't understand the power and the problematics. Having sat in that room back there in the Human Rights Council, having listened to what goes on, it's nothing less than building the ideological train tracks to send us back to Auschwitz. And we as a people who are involved here in Geneva, in Israel, around the world, need to wake up to this and need to start to deal with it. And I just want to say, kol hakavod to all of you who are out here, who you're bringing this to the world agenda, and you're speaking about this, to everybody who initiated this, to Yair Lapid, to David Breakstone, to the World Zionist Organization, to all the other people who are involved in this, and really kol hakavod lechem.